right now in Pulwama, from where Waheed Para, a candidate of PDP, is contesting from here. You can see the crowd that has gathered to catch a glimpse of him. Many women were taking selfies. Waheed Para is quite confident that this time the party will do well. We will interact with him and ask him questions about the party's prospects as well as what he intends to do and what kind of change is he promising. And welcome to The Print. We have a special guest, Waheed Para, who is contesting from Pulwama constituency. He's a senior PDP leader. What exactly is the mood right now? A number of people are saying that it's going to be a fractured mandate. Even your own party leaders are saying it's going to be a fractured mandate. I spoke to Iltija. She also mentioned that.
I think too early to say a lot, but definitely there are diverse differences in different regions and different issues, and this is a constituency election. So a lot matters that there's no way for a particular party in Kashmir. If you look at South, North, Central. So, some places like South Kashmir, predominantly still PDP has its own relevance. And despite so much has happened with the party and there was a crackdown against PDP.
Right.
But there are a lot of, pockets which are very strong bastion of PDP and which seems where they are comfortable there. So this is definitely going to be a very diverse mandate in many ways.
You mentioned a lot of leaders were also put behind bars. You yourself were jailed. UAPA was slapped against you. What do you have to say about that?
I think this is a story of most of Kashmiris and especially the young people. Even today, there are thousands of young people detained in jails, and this remains one of the pressing issues on ground. And these are young people who are in jails in Jodhpur, in Bareilly, in Rajasthan. They're confined in 50-degree temperature, which is, they're undergoing a very huge traumatic treatment, and I have personally been a witness to it.
How long were you in jail?
I was in jail for 2 years under UAPA. Before that, I was detained under Detention Act. So I think this is happening with many of people, the religious clergy, your activists, lawyers, political leaders. A lot of people are still detained, especially the young people, and there's a demand for amnesty and all these things. That's why we are speaking about it, and we are raising this issue very seriously.
Is it something that is part of your manifesto?
This is part of the PDP manifesto, and this has been part of our political process as well, that young people should be given the first-time offenders. There should be amnesty for them, and also there's a genuine issue about, when government talks about peace, dignity, and there's no criminal justice system in place where young people get bails under UAPA. The process consumes you, and the process becomes a punishment. And these are young people who are not involved in serious criminal acts. These are circumstantial incidents where young people are stuck in Kashmir and got detained after 5th August. There were raids, and everybody who had one FIR or a slight of involvement anywhere were booked randomly that time by agencies.
We have been watching how you have been interacting with the people from your constituency. We will be talking to you further as you go to another village. So thanks for speaking with us. We were talking about, how UAPA was slapped against you. There's a lot of talk about Article 370. Your party has promised to restore it, but this is a center's domain. So do you think it is realistic to promise something that your party will not be able to do?
I think, politically everything is realistic. BJP for 70 years has been raising this issue, and it was part of constitution. We're not seeking anything on anti-India, anti-constitutional, anything anti-democratic. Article 370 is still there. So I think we need to understand whatever happened on 5th August can be reversed by the same parliament, by the same people of India, by the same numbers tomorrow. If tomorrow you have a different government, tomorrow you have a different number. So you never know how things evolve in politics, even though there's a Supreme Court ruling on this now. But earlier also there were Supreme Court rulings which said it's a permanent act. So I think it's a political issue, and it's an issue of sentiments in Jammu and Kashmir. The way it was done, people are unhappy with the method, and there was no consent of the people. So this continues to dominate the political narrative in especially the assembly elections.
But even the opposition, the principal opposition, Congress, has been, kept mum on it.
Congress also has damaged a lot to Article 370 in their own time. The basic erosions were done in their time. And Congress is scared to touch it or anything about Kashmir is because they don't want, they're not sure and they're not confident enough that BJP is going to, again attack them on such issues. So they're not even touching Kashmir at all. If you look at in their narrative, it doesn't look, they're not even fighting elections. They surrender most of their space to national conference in Kashmir.
There was this Gupkar alliance. What went wrong with talks with NC? Why is NC and PDP not together fighting these elections?
I think the only main reason, the regional issues, the immediate burning issues, we are fighting on the similar stand. But the main issue between the disturbance of alliance was the national conference not willing to share seats with People's Democratic Party.
Okay.
One in parliament, they were not willing to give even one seat. And even if we would have gifted all seats to them, which Mahabaji said willingly, but they were not even willing to consider that decision, that they thought PDP is irrelevant on ground. And in assembly election, I think again Umar Saab, because he sees Mahabaji as a very potential threat personally in his own career, the way in the past has happened. So he was not willing to give PDP any space. I think that's the main reason. Rest is irrelevant. It's a seat sharing issue, and National Conference was very reluctant to leave any seats to People's Democratic Party.
What about the entry of Jamaat and a number of independent candidates? We have Engineer Rashid. How do you see them in the political landscape of Kashmir?
We're not, honestly, PDP is not against anyone. I think Mahabaji is the first leader for talking about release of political prisoners. She talks more about Jamaat Islamiyah. She's the first leader who actually lost her own government because of Jamaat, separatist dialogue, pressing, all such things. And there was a complete crackdown on her party because she's inconsistently following and pushing the issue, their dialogue with stakeholders, release of political prisoners, release of Jamaat Islamiyah leaders. What we are saying is that Jamaat ban should be revoked. So that Jamaat fights as Jamaat Islamiyah, so that who's a Jamaat candidate, who's not a candidate. Right now, there's some ambiguity in some areas. You don't know the candidate. They claim to have the backing of different people. So that's why there have been few reactions from PDP. But the objective is that the ban should be revoked, and it's a social-religious organization. Let them work in education, let them work in democracy, let them work in peace process, democratic process, development process. We welcome that. And even Engineer Rashid Saab as a party, he was there always. We have always supported his release. We want his release and his bail to be absolute, but we also want other people to get bails, and that all political prisoners should be released, and the young people in jail, they should be brought home. That's where we are actually focusing upon.
Mehbooba Mufti ji is not contesting these elections. Do you think her presence would have made more of a difference? I know she is campaigning, but the fact that she has decided to not contest the elections, is it going to have some impact?
I think, definitely her presence would have made more, that definitely charges the cadre more, because then you are like the topest leader is fighting her. But she refused to contest because she took a principled stand after abrogation that I'm not going to be the chief minister unless 370 and statehood is restored. So she maintained it. Other leaders also said, but they decided to contest finally, and she has kept this stand, and she wants to not be part of electoral politics. But she has also told the party to fight, because this is also about self-preservation. This election is not about power as much it is about preserving what's left. So that's why she allowed the party leaders to contest.
There are many statements from PDP leader, including Iltija, who's saying that PDP is going to emerge as a kingmaker and there's going to be a fractured mandate.
I think there is going to be a very diverse mandate, and they can meet on a common ground. I think Kashmir always has that, diversity in the mandate. Because in some pockets, like, the NC thought they have a way, but there's no way for any party today. There are different people, this is a local election, regional election, and different people are important differently.
We can see he's interacting with the people of the constituency, especially the women. Do you see any change in Kashmir in the past few years?
I think there is change in many ways. There is fear. There is a lot of suffocation also. But at the same time, there are stones have been replaced by votes. That is a shift. And the bullet is replaced by ballot in many ways. And people are actually, the young people want, there was a time we will pelt stones. They are in a mood to pelt votes. You saw the energy. So there is a shift, but it's also the larger shift. If you look at it, it's also like the Kashmiris are understanding the importance of democratic process more than the other processes, and they're also realizing that this is the way being heard more properly, And this is that if you love Kashmir, you have to live for it, not die for it. And dissent is democratized in many ways. And democracy is becoming an act of resistance. Voting is becoming an act of resistance. I think this is a good thing happening in front of us. This is slight transition, but this is exactly what Kashmir needed to save lives, and also in many ways that you will be heard more properly by the rest of country, by the rest of world, and also by the uh, media, civil society. So this is a change we are noticing, but how long it's going to sustain, that's going to be challenging, because there are huge expectations out of these elections, and this election is happening after 10 years. So if government tomorrow doesn't respect the mandate, whether they are fractured mandate, whether it's one-sided mandate, whether it's pro or anti them, they should actually respect every mandate and everyone who comes as elected leader of Jammu and Kashmir in whatever constituency, because people are putting a lot of trust in this process again. And this is happening after 1987, when people lost complete hope in democratic process. There was no legitimacy to vote. Today, young people, women, elders, they're coming out and being part of this democratic process. I think it puts us under a lot of responsibility more than just winning elections.
You mentioned that there has been some positive change in Kashmir. Do you credit the BJP government for it?
I don't think. I think I'll credit people of Kashmir, and we have realized it in 5th August when Kashmir was under crackdown. We realized it. If we had not preserved ourselves, a lot of our young people would have lost lives. So we have understood the importance of like how to deal with this, aggression also, which was a state-sponsored aggression on 5th August. It wasn't provocation. 5th August was nothing but a provocation that come out on roads, and we decided not to come out. Kashmir was leaderless, but everybody understood the importance of not provoking the government that day. So I think somewhere people are understanding the importance, and we are able to realize that we see young people in jails. One of our generation is gone to drugs, another in depression, another in jails, another in graves. So we don't want to lose young people. I think there's an huge silent solidarity for each other, support for each other, and at the same time there is a realization that we need to save the young generation, and we need to be more non-violent in our approach, and that's how we are trying to understand the ground. I think that is a realization somewhere.
We interviewed Engineer Rashid. We also interviewed Farooq Abdullah, and they all talk about that. PDP is making such tall claims. It is being critical of the BJP government, but they are the one who had aligned with them. They brought BJP in Kashmir.
I think it's not about bringing BJP or not bringing. PDP and BJP alliance came not for mere government formation. This was an act of conflict resolution. Mufti Saab was like one of the statesman type person whose entire objective and aim of forming PDP was to make a process driven party, to involve separatists, mainstream, involve the stakeholders who are away from democratic process, away from Indian constitutional space. That's why this party came into the formation in 2002, to end violence into and find ways into democracy. So 2014 alliance was seen as an opportunity to create some conflict resolution act, maybe. So Mufti Saab tried to resolve things, and that's why the whole idea of agenda of alliance, if you look at it will talk about separatists, it will talk about engagement with Pakistan, it will talk about engagement with Jamaat Islami, it will talk about every stakeholder in Jammu and Kashmir to be brought in an inclusive program. It was not about power sharing, chief ministership, cabinet, and other issues. But it didn't work because there are so many stakeholders and it's a complex problem. Despite that, you had an all-party delegation because of Mahabbaji continuous pursuit to New Delhi. All-party delegation came to reach to the doors of Hurriyat. They reached to Gilani's home. You had an interlocutor appointed for talks with separatists. You had a ceasefire with militants. You had 12,000 stone belts were given amnesty by the same agenda, and same chief minister. For the first time offenders were given amnesty. Which the point I'm trying to make is that the larger objective of alliance was to address the pain of Kashmir, and the larger objective was that to use the prime minister's mandate to engage on the larger levels where the inter-Kashmir conflict is resolved. it didn't work because it's a complex problem, but our intentions were good and they were rightly placed. People accuse us for making an alliance with BJP, but they
For
are
betraying Kashmir.
yeah, but that's also, you have to understand, there is a issue which people will try to resolve, and they may succeed. Had the alliance worked in right direction, then things would have been totally different.
One last question, that the statehood issue is something that the BJP has said that only BJP can restore statehood, and at the same time, if you look at the current election that are happening, the chief minister who will be elected will not have much power, because it is the LG who will even do transfer posting issues, or issues related to land. So what exactly is this chief minister going to do?
I think this is going to be the most weakest assembly ever, weakest government ever we had. We have been a very super state. We understand, but the objective is also to have more powerful voices in a weak assembly, number one. Second, to preserve whatever is left. And third, to start the process of reclaiming your rights in a democratic way. But at the same time, even if it's a weak government and BJP says we will restore 370 only, we are going to do it, there's a Supreme Court direction also for the restoration of statehood. We can move to the Supreme Court, we can build pressure, we can pass a resolution for restoration of statehood or special status. So I think at least it is far better than you are part of a democratic process than being, dispossessed from the institutions, from democratic institutions or bureaucratic institutions.
I know I have already asked this question, but I want to take it a little further. Even if, in case there is a fractured mandate and you need to align with the BJP, will you do that?
I think PDP has clearly said they want to be part of India Alliance. They want to have a secular mandate, and our interests are more centered towards the regional parties now. We can't have a meeting ground with BJP.
So that's quite clear.
Clearly, we don't have a meeting ground.
You must have seen how Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been critical of dynasties, and when he mentions dynasty, the Mufti family, the Gandhi family, or the Abdullahs, even Engineer Rashid has been very critical of the role of all the dynasties. How do you look at, because they say that the youth now wants change. They don't want to see the same families running Kashmir.
I think you need to understand, when they talk about dynasties and all these, they are part of our, fabric here. So BJP has so many dynasties in their own party. There are 18 dynasties and 18, such people involved in their running of affairs who are part of very long dynasties. So BJP has this definition when it comes to Congress, Kashmir. But the truth is that, if you look at whatever they've been trying to create in last 6 years, all the people they nurtured, they were also part of dynasties and all. So they like one, they hate another, and that's how their definitions are. But if people of Kashmir want any change, then it should be organic by the people of Kashmir. It cannot be announced from New Delhi. So because this is a Delhi's own narrative, and people are voting, people are choosing these people, so whether they are from dynasty or not from dynasty, they have been liked and loved by their own people in their respective constituencies.
So there's a lot of churning that has also taken place within the party, within PDP. What exactly went wrong? Why so many leaders decided to sort of part?
There were after 2019, there was complete crackdown on PDP. Like, I was arrested. Similarly, other people were also threatened. Had they not switched, they would have been in jail today. They would have been criminalized. So 40 people, the entire cabinet, 4 MPs, MLCs, MLAs, dozens of people who left party because there was a government pressure on PDP. 3 parties were made out of the corpus of PDP, and they did not deliver to anything. But so PDP's, when National Conference shows arrogance, the weakness of PDP was not because of National Conference popularity. It was because we were fighting a government crackdown. What happened with Hurriyat Jamaat, the similar treatment was given to PDP completely. You had a former chief minister, first female chief minister. She was questioned by ED, and there was no charge against her. Her mother has never been part of government, Mahabbaji's mother. She was questioned by ED for nothing. Her brother was questioned by ED. Her children's passports were, taken by passport authorities. So Mahabbaji was not allowed to go to Hajj, to Umrah. The rest other chief minister, former chief minister were enjoying. They were traveling the whole world. So they were completely 2 different set of roles. Other parties were not even touched in Kashmir, whether regional or national parties. They were given all sort of entitlements. Mahabbaji's own house was taken. So her party was completely fractured, dismantled in a way, and she's been struggling a lot in that way. But somewhere the people see her consistent stand. That's why she's reclaiming the space in Kashmir again.
A few questions about your own, the constituency from where you are contesting elections. You are pitted against someone who's considered a heavyweight, has been served as a cabinet minister. Also, what do you think? What is it that you are promising that will ensure that you are able to win the seat?
I think Pulwama is, the image of Pulwama is dismantled a lot. It's not like misrepresented, it looks like unrepresented in many ways. And Pulwama is also a place where there's so much of stigma, trauma attached to this place. OGW, militant, terrorist. Every stereotype name has been given to Pulwama as if we just represent it. Pulwama is one of the best producers of saffron, one of the best producers of rice, one of the best producer of milk in Jammu and Kashmir, one of the best largest industry, one of the best producer of apple. But nobody knows that image. So we are trying to rebuild and reimagine the image of Pulwama, and also give hope to the young people who feel hopeless, who feel like we have been stigmatized like OGWs, anti-nationals. So I think that's where we are trying to build hope among young people.
Thank you so much for taking our time and speaking to us.
Thank you, ma'am.
This is Neelam Pandey reporting with Praveen Jain from Pulwama.